It is a sin to be boring at church. Why? Because Jesus rose from the dead. That's a time for celebration, not to be boring. So how do you go from the days of pain and confusion in order to be able to experience the days of joy in your life? Here's what you need to do. Write this one down, fill in the blank there. It's by relying on the power of Jesus. Relying on the power of Jesus. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 19 through 20. Paul said, I pray that you will begin to understand how incredibly great his power is to help those who believe in him. It is that same mighty power that raised Christ from the dead. I want you to circle that word power. Power. Now look up here. Listen to this. God's power can do anything in our life. Anything. But here's the point. We have to believe. We have to believe. We have to trust God to work in our life. Believe he can work in our life. And when you believe, when you trust, that's when God's power is unleashed in your life. And that's when it's able to change your life totally and completely. And I want to illustrate that for you this morning. So I brought with me a couple of things that I want you to think about. This first milk bottle I've got filled with some plastic beads. And I want you to think of these beads as people. People from all over the world. You can see they're all different colors, all right? But we're all the same, basically, right? We're all sinners. We might look differently on the outside, but on the inside, we're the same. We're all the same. That's why they're all the same shape. We're all sinners. We all need God. We all need Jesus. We're made of flesh and blood. We have problems. We're all the same, even though we look different on the outside. And so I want you to think of this as all the people in the world. And then I want you to think about this other one where I have some water. I want you to think of this water as the power of God. How the power of God is able to change our life. Now, all of us here in Southern California, we're aware of how water is powerful, right? Now, we don't see it that often, granted. I understand that. We don't see a lot of water here in Southern California. But when we do see it, we see the power it has. The power to be able to move mountains, to move hillsides, to take away vegetation, to bring down trees, large trees. We see how that water is able to move giant boulders. We've seen that here in Southern California. In other parts of the country, we know how that water is very, very, very powerful indeed. And yet, like these beads in this bottle, a lot of us are just like this. Our life seems to be going nowhere. It's just stagnant. Maybe you feel that way about your marriage. My marriage is going nowhere. It's just stagnant. Maybe you feel that way about your career. You know, your career is going nowhere. It's just sitting there. It's going no place. Maybe you feel that way about your business. Maybe you're in a business and you feel like, my business is going nowhere fast. That's the way we feel about life a lot of times. Like our life is going nowhere. Do you know why we feel that way? It's because we're relying on our own power to try to make things happen, to make a change in our life. And our own power cannot do it. That's why we need the power of God. Are you following me? Are you getting this? We need the power of God in order to get us moving and to make that change. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the water and I'm going to put these cards over the top and I'm going to tip it upside down. Hopefully I don't make anybody wet. I told you. This is really the splash zone this morning. I'm going to tip it upside down. Oh. Woo! That was close. I'm going to slide the card out now. Watch what happens to the beads. I think it's pretty cool looking. It was the water that moved the beads. It was the power of God. That's what happens in life. You're trying to get your life moving, change something in your life, and it's never going to happen in your own strength and your own power. That's why we need to rely on the power of God in our life. You see, just like the power of God, or just like this water caused the beads to rise, the power of God can cause your dead life to rise, your dead marriage to come alive, your dead career to come alive. The reason why we need God's strength and God's power is because we can't resurrect ourselves. I can't resurrect myself, yet we keep trying to resurrect ourselves. And we can't because we don't have the power to do that. Only God can do that, folks. Only God can do that. John chapter 11 and verse 25 through 26, Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live again. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Circle that word believe. See, that's the key right there. God's power can do anything in our life. He can take a dead marriage and bring it alive. A dead career, bring it alive. He can do anything through his power, anything. But the key is you have to believe. You have to trust. Notice Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Jesus didn't say here, I point to it. He didn't say, or I just teach it. No, he said, I'm it. I'm it. He is the resurrection and the life. That means the answer to all of our pain, the answer to all of our confusion, the answer to the joy that we need in our life is not found in a religion. It's not found in some rule or ritual. Instead, it's found in having a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the answer. The answer is to believe. The answer is to trust Jesus Christ.